Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a very exciting episode of CSGO News. First off, I have a free giveaway for all of you guys to enter thanks to Idle Empire. If you guys don't know, a great website for you guys to AFK, earn points, and actually eventually earn CSGO skins. But for all of you guys who are curious, it's a free giveaway, guys, for a Gut Knife Factory New Fade. That will be linked down below. You guys can retweet that. It's free to enter, so best of luck, guys. As always, though, let's get into the news. And first off, in big news, actually going to be the back half of the episode. As usual, we're going to do match 1 breakdowns or day 1 breakdowns, which was absolutely insane. I hope you guys stay tuned for that. I honestly am so blown away so far with major-wise. Now, production-wise as well, we have seen a huge improvement, not only from technical issues, but hopefully in-game as well. If you guys did watch the first 3 to 4 days of the major, a lot of pauses out there, a lot of tech issues with not only headsets and also PCs, but also production issues. The whole internet outage over there in the arena in London was kind of a sad thing, but it does seem so far throughout day 1, very few issues, and that's a huge improvement. So congrats to Valve. They're doing a great job over there, and if you guys did watch day 1 matchups, they went pretty much flawlessly without any issues. Also on top of that, we had a kind of a bug release, a really small patch release as well by Valve, doing a great job, as there were alleged rumors out there that the server they sent out for this major was actually a little bit bugged in terms of enemy footsteps. If you guys saw many matches out there, unfortunately enough for teams like Rogue, they played teams like North and Astralis into overtime and Inferno, and there were several key moments where it was very noticeable where, you know, enemies were actually jumping through smoke or jumping through whatever it might be, and it was pretty noticeable that they should have been a sound heard. And a lot of those Rogue members, I point the Rogue out because this is the one that I really noticed myself without even being told about the bug issue, and there were players who would not turn at all when it was obvious that a player was jumping around them. I haven't heard from any pro players out there, any complaints at least, so we should see that being a big fix for this first day as well, and hopefully not going to be an issue going further. On top of that as well, apparently PC issues have been fixed. I've not heard from any pros out there or seen any tweets as of right now. It was actually Fallen who took to Twitter about the practice PCs not being very good FPS wise. It was also Complexity's Yay saying he had an internal issue that actually fixed it himself. So apparently the FPS boost is now back to normal, or what around it should be for those PCs. We're going to see if any PC issues do continue, but it does seem the bulk majority of issues, both technically, PC-wise, and also player-wise, have been resolved. But also, I'm not going to call out any teams out there, but I have heard from an inside source who's at the event. I'm not going to call out which team it was, but I can tell you guys, as of right now, it does seem, it's just allegations, but it does seem a lot of talk around the town that one of the 16 teams in the stage right now, which of course does mean one of the 8 challenger teams who did go through, apparently used all of these tech issues. If you guys watched day 1 through 4, there were countless tech issues, and apparently one of the teams currently in the legendary stage actually used a fake technical issue to actually get a timeout in game. So you guys can try and guess who it was. I'm not going to reveal my source or who it was in game. I'm not going to call anyone out, but that's just talk of the town right now, a rumor that I thought I'd share with all of you guys. Apparently one of the current teams in the legendary stage, top 16 teams at the major, cheated to get a timeout in game. And other rumors out there, we actually have 2 sources. First of one is actually inside source. I'm not really sure if I should use these sources, but they do seem quite legit so far. And on top of that one source, we also have Cybersport. If you guys don't know, a Russian insider who's had many correct leaks out there in the past, have now talked about Virtus.pro's alleged 5th member, which will be to no surprise, and that's going to be Morels. I don't think many players out there who have talked about this have any need to lie about this. It does seem going forward to replace Bialy will be Morels, and it makes a lot of sense. We have those 2 sources alongside that. If you guys watch Virtus.pro fight for their lives in ESEA Mountain Dew League, they fought against Fnatic Academy, and on that last chance qualifier to keep that last spot in Mountain Dew League, just kind of clarifying as to where this team has gone so far, they were playing with Morels. Now, me and my Discord were kind of confused about that as to exactly why they were playing with Morels when they had already signed Snatchy, so they should have been playing with him. We weren't sure if it was actually an ESCA qualification rule, but it does seem going forward, guys, Morels will be that 5th member to, of course, replace Bialy on that Virtus.pro roster after their brief departure from the major. And again, I don't think there's any lies about that. I do want to say one thing, though. When you look at the current Russian talent out there, this does still seem to be probably the best roster, Virtus.pro that is, when they take away Mihu from teams like Kingwin and they take away Snatchy as well from teams like AGO. It makes sense. This is probably going to be the primary Polish roster still, but as of right now, over the past 6 months, we've seen teams like AGO and teams like Kingwin really fall off. It hasn't been until recently where Kingwin has made their climb back up. So who's going to be the number 1 Polish team going forward? My bet is on Kingwin right now, but I'm still have really no faith in the Polish scene right now. It's going to be really cool to see where these guys go in the future and who really develops as the next upcoming Polish talent. And we also had a new Epsilon roster. I think this is kind of weird because we have not heard from Epsilon in so long. I thought I'd share it with you guys. I don't think the roster is anything stunning, but I think it's cool to see Epsilon finally return. If you guys remember, it was actually back in early 2017. This was the build team, and this is a team that I talked about a lot here on CSGO News, and I haven't mentioned them in probably a solid 6 to 8 months now on this because they haven't had really much of a team. If you guys remember, it was Draken and Rez. I can't remember who left first, but this became the build team for teams like NIP and eventually Fnatic when they were kind of shifting players players back and forth, because it was Draken and Rez who started out on Epsilon Esports, and ever since then the roster really did fall apart. I believe they played with some other Swedish pro players out there before their team departed entirely. I think actually Robin played for this team, Epsilon Esports, as well. Robin, who just got unvac banned after 5 years, which is crazy to see. So Epsilon Esports has returned, guys, with a brand new roster. Although it's not a crazy roster, I wish them the best of luck, and maybe they can actually be kind of that heroic of the Swedish scene. So on top of that, guys, very last before I do our match breakdown here, and other news out there, we actually do have the Movistar Riders. I want to briefly mention this because they are apparently celebrities of the Spanish/Portuguese. I know you guys are going to get mad at me because I always say the incorrect thing. Of the Spanish scene, okay? I'm going to stick with that because Mixwell, I know he is Spanish. I'm going to keep on saying Spanish. I know whenever I mention these guys, especially when I mentioned Fox from the Portuguese scene, you guys got very upset in the comment section. You guys need to realize I am super stupid. When it comes to Spanish, Portuguese, Brazilian, us Americans think they're all three the same thing. So I do apologize for that. But in other news out there, if you guys have been watching Movistar Riders, they most recently qualified for MSI New York. Not a premier tournament, but still a pretty solid tournament out there for that roster. And it does not seem like Mixwell is ever going to leave. I'm actually almost worried about this, but also it's so cool. They were hanging out with TV news, a huge TV host, one of the largest Spanish TV hosts in the world. It's kind of crazy to see that. Also TV stars and other people out there. These guys were going to events and taking pictures with some of the top celebrities in that scene. And they're the Movistar Riders. So it is crazy to see, guys, they're being treated like celebrities over there, and it does kind of worry me for the future. Will Mixwell ever leave? Because he is being treated like absolute, I don't know even what, royalty, and he deserves it. But that's just, it's crazy to see because no one's talking about it. And I might look off my notes for this last section because I did watch every matchup. It's really been fun to watch so far, but so many upsets. If you guys did watch the actual stats on this as well, we actually had 7 challenger teams win today. The only one to not win was actually, unfortunately enough, it was an overtime matchup, and that was, of course, going to be HR. HR, arguably one of the better looking challenger teams themselves. It did go to overtime against G2 though. So of the 8 matches, guys, of the 8 legendary teams taking on 8 challenger teams, 7 challenger teams came away with victories today, and that was just nutty. Although we do have some pretty good challenger teams, so you really can't argue that. Astralis and Liquid being 2 challenger teams is pretty crazy. So speaking of that, it was actually Liquid dominating Winstrike, no big surprise there. Alongside that, it was G2 barely beating HR. It was actually overtime, I believe, on Dust. Historically speaking, one of G2's one of their better maps, if not their best map, especially when you go back to the 27, I guess a different roster, but still, historically speaking, one of G2's better rosters. We also had big shock, I guess I wouldn't say shock me or shock too many people out there, but the way they beat FaZe was definitely a shock itself. It was 16-5, I believe. I kind of mixed these score lines up because there were some dominating score lines out there. Alongside big dominating FaZe, we actually had Complexity dominating Fnatic, I believe 16-4, and that was insane to see. So those first 4 matches were some pretty crazy upsets and definitely sending some big teams down to the lower bracket, which is some tough news when you guys see the day 2 matchups. If you guys have not seen those, they're pretty crazy. Alongside that, Navi and Astralis go down to match point on Inferno. It was Navi not taking that, unfortunately losing that 14-16 after a very, very close comeback. I'm probably going to wait till tomorrow's episode to talk about that because there was a brief moment, a huge argument on Navi, especially because I believe it was Flamey who actually knifed Simple during one round, and there was a huge argument going on as well between actually Simple and Edward, not Simple and Flamey. It's a confusing situation. And then we saw this coming, didn't we? Or maybe we didn't. I talked to you guys about potential 0-3 pick being Cloud9. This might have been proving it. On Mirage, guys, it's Vegas Squadron who dominate Cloud9. I still think Cloud9 have a brief chance to get out, but when you look at the teams who are now in the lower bracket, it's really tough to see their path out of this. They had a great chance. They went 1-0. They had a great matchup against Vegas Squadron, and it's very, very tough to see the former major winners come off this way. Although it's probably not a surprise, they have half a roster, and the other half is brand new to the team, so I'm not going to try and stand up for them too much, but it's definitely understandable where they're at right now in CSGO. On top of that, we also had Tyloo shock a bunch of people. They took down MIBR. Of course, that's my 3-0 pick. Don't make fun of me, guys. This is still a very solid team. They blew a 9-2 lead. It is very obvious right now that their T-side Inferno is definitely not up to par, and that's why MIBR blew that huge comeback. Again, they had a 9-2 or a 10-2 lead on their CT side, and went to T-side, a huge run by them, by that being Tyloo. Just unfortunate to see. And also, very lastly, NIP beating Mouse Sports in their best of 1. Still a very prominent pick for 3-0, although they play Liquid tomorrow. So very briefly, day 2 matches on screen for all of you guys, and it's going to be crazy. And I want you guys to know as well, you should expect tomorrow a video of me in my car. I'm going to tell you guys a brand new major format, so if you guys want to see that, leave a like or a comment down below. Tomorrow's video is going to be 3 to 4 minutes long max, and I'll see you guys back here Saturday for more CSGO news and a breakdown of day 1, 2, and 3 matchups. Some crazy CSGO is going on right now, guys. I cannot wait to watch it all. I hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, my name is Jake, more like you, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.